Are MPs, and in particular Labour backbench MPs, smelling blood in the water?
Yeah, perhaps Labour backbenchers could use this as an opportunity to get other government policies changed. Here's an example. Today, a member of the SNP is going to call for the removal of the two-child benefit cap. And that motion has support from, well, at least one Labour backbench MP, Paula Barker, who says, yes, that cap needs to be lifted, which is a change in her own position because she kept that out of the King's speech last year. And former Tory special advisor to the Treasury, James Price, also joins us, says, no, it should not be lifted. We should keep the two-child benefit cap. So very good morning to both of you. Paula Barker, you have a Prime Minister who could be kindly described as embattled right now. Is this an inflection point? Is this a point where you think, right, we're going to try and get other things changed?
Now, listen, I want the Prime Minister to succeed. I want our government to succeed.
But you're backing a motion which is in direct contravention of one of his policies in the King's speech.
I want to see the policy lifted. I think that we are better when we are bolder. Today, we've got figures out from the Child Poverty Action Group that actually says that next month we will see 1 million children who are in households that are working will be in poverty. This is not what we should be doing.
But you voted against lifting it last year.
No, what I voted for was the King's speech.
Yeah.
An amendment was laid down. It's not a done thing to lay an amendment to the King's speech. It was a manifesto pledge that I stood on. It wasn't in our manifesto. So that's why I voted for the King's speech.
The Prime Minister's not against it in principle. The government isn't against it in principle. They're against it because they say we simply cannot afford it. It would cost billions. How would you pay for it?
Well, I think that we should have a wealth tax, and I'm sure that lots of people would disagree with that. But I actually think that those with the broadest shoulders should be paying that little bit more.
And how would that work? How much would you tax wealthy people?
Well, that would be for the Chancellor to decide that.
But it would have to be substantial. I mean, you're looking at over £3 billion for this policy alone.
Yeah, absolutely. But, you know, even Gordon Brown, our ex-Prime Minister, is saying that actually, morally, it's the right thing to do and that we should be doing it. And if you look at the detrimental effect that it has on children, that affects their life chances. So actually, for me, it's an invest-to-save model.
And would you lift it completely, or would you extend it to more children, but put a number on it?
I am very, very open to have constructive dialogue with my party about whether it should be lifted completely or whether there should be any sort of cap.
Like 3 or 4 or 5 children?
Possibly, yeah. And I'm very open to having that constructive dialogue.
OK, James Price, you are a former Tory special advisor at the Treasury, and you are currently in a position where you want to have children.
Absolutely right.
And you back there being a cap to children. So what do you take issue with about Paula Barker's points that this would lift hundreds of thousands of children out of poverty?
Yeah, it's a pity for Paula and I to fall out after we've just made best friends backstage, and I can see that with her own children and her constituents' children, she wants nothing but the best for these people. And I disagree that this is maybe the best way to do it. In principle, and the morals of it, I just think it's wrong that you tax people a huge amount of money, already the highest tax burden since the Second World War. And these are people who are being taxed, who say they want more children than they're actually having, and you're taxing them, giving them their money to people who can't afford to look after their own children. So we're already, I think, very generous. Paula mentioned those with the broadest shoulders. Well, already the tax system is really progressive. The richest people in this country already pay way more tax than they would otherwise do if it was a flat system. They're paying huge amounts of that, and they're already paying to look after the children of people who can't afford it, up to 2 children, which seems pretty good. It's more than some people ever get to have. But I just think it's wrong that we're going to give more of that money to people who can't afford to look after their own children.
OK, so, but you're assuming that people make a decision about how many children they have based on whether they're going to be able to access benefits or not. And it may just be that some families live in situations where they don't make that kind of rational choice, I don't know, but are then punished. But particularly the children are punished by the fact that the parents have more children than they can afford.
Yeah, I think the moral stance is that people should think about how many children they can afford to have when they do it. We now live in a world where the family planning is a very easy thing to do. There's ready access to contraception and education about all these sorts of things. And, you know, most people who are watching this today will have thought very carefully, can we afford to have another child? I know that my mum and dad wanted me to have a little sibling and didn't think they could afford it at the time, for example. I also think we have an incredibly generous welfare system already. Huge, hundreds of billions of pounds are spent on the welfare system already. And the only way, actually, therefore, to get these children out of poverty, build more houses, get economic growth going, more capitalism, not less.
Quick question back to you. How many of you are there? How many backbench Labour MPs would vote the way you want to vote?
I think there's lots of the PLP who want the two-child cap lifted.
But would they go to the sticking point and vote against the government?
I can't comment on that, Richard.
What's your instinct?
Well, I know people feel very passionately about this subject.
So you don't think you're on your own?
No, I don't. And, you know, today, what I would say is this is the SNP have laid down this motion and, you know, they are playing politics. They did it last year at the King's Speech. And actually, if you look at their record in Scotland, you get absolutely nothing for the first 3 years.
You're a backbencher, you've got nothing to lose. Go on, you can be honest. What do you think about the way the Prime Minister's handling the Mandelson?
I think that there was definitely questions to be answered. I think Lord Mandelson shouldn't have been appointed in the first place.
Should he have been defended in the Commons this week?
Well, I personally don't think that he should. At the end of the day, the fact he carried on his relationship with Epstein and just, quite frankly, the nauseating things that he wrote to Epstein would suggest to me that he is saying that the victims, the women, don't matter and don't count. And
are you embarrassed by the way the Prime Minister's handled it?
I'm embarrassed that he was in our party and he was representing us in the US. And I think for a party that is committed to halving violence against women and girls by the end of this Parliament, it flies in the face of that and it's absolutely unacceptable and I won't make excuses for it.
And just finally, you are MP for Liverpool Wavertree.
I am.
Hillsborough Law
Yeah.
starts making its journey through Parliament.
Yeah.
Yes, I can imagine you would like to pay tribute to the families who still feel, I'm sure, that they have not achieved justice.
It's a very emotional day for all of us in the city. I had family and friends at Hillsborough. Fortunately, they all came home. I was with the families yesterday and I would pay tribute to their strength, their resilience and their tenacity for fighting for the last 36 years.
Quite a day for
justice.
them, isn't it?
It
Quite
is.
a day. Well, we're going to be talking to two of them in a minute. They're just coming out of the meeting with the Prime Minister
Fabulous.
as we speak. Now, just to come back to the child benefit cap, a government spokesman has told us we are investing $500 million in children's development through the rollout of Best Start family hubs, extending free school meals and ensuring that the poorest don't go hungry in the holidays through our new £1 billion crisis support package.
And we asked you for your thoughts. Is it time to lift the two-child benefit cap? A third of you said yes. Let's allow families to access the universal credit system, despite the number of children they have. 68% said no, let's keep it to 2 children.